Instead of it being like 15 feet, if it was cut back to 8 feet, that would be.
Yeah, I mean, if you could cut it back, and even if there were just a few areas that were even opened up a little for some residences that might wanna toss a pole in, or what may not, you know? Just so it aesthetically looks a little better than what it does today. Or yesterday that you see in the pictures.
Madam Chairman, I should report that in Pelican Reserve, the folks that manage our lakes do in fact cut back the littorals periodically so that they are of some reasonable depth.
And how many feet of depth into the lake do you cut it back to?
I don't know exactly what the numbers are, it's about 6 feet.
About 6 feet.
The DO calls for 4 feet in Hampton Park.
What's that?
The DO calls for 4 feet in Hampton Park. Control elevation out 1 foot, 4 to 1 slope. If you recall, when we were doing this several years ago, we had a challenge from the Silver Lakes.
From what?
Silver Lakes.
I remember that.
That was the issue of the development order. I'm totally in favor of an addendum. I don't mind adding in the HOA and Property Owner Association, but I can tell you, when I was president of an association for 7 years, I don't want part of this as an association. First of all, it's not even in our covenants whatsoever as an activity of the association. Having a property owner that has a development order and it has no requirement, for example, like Justin's, I have no problem with that property owner coming in, petitioning this board, and asking that those littorals be removed. I have no problem with that whatsoever. As I brought up earlier in the meeting, I don't believe a thing the county says about littorals. I don't believe a thing. After what we have seen going on right across the street in Gateway Greens, I can't believe that they are so insistent. At that last meeting, they were here, and here I've got Arborwood Phase 1 and Phase 2 that doesn't have one in the whole thing, and it's within Lee County.
Wouldn't it
So
be
it's-
better if the homeowners went to, came in to see Al or Chris and worked out something that everybody was happy with?
Well, I think that's what
we wouldn't have to go through this all the time?
Well, Bill, I think that's what the idea was staff didn't want to cut the baby. That's what it came down. I have no problem with this. I don't like the development order having to be presented by the property owner. That's our job. We have all the development orders. We know what the development orders say. I think the issue is we should have a way for a property owner to come in here and say, hey, here's the development order. It does not require for littorals on my lot. I would like them removed. And the ball is on staff to review that, make a recommendation to the board, and the board makes a decision. Yeah, to me, it's that simple.
And to me, it's not that simple because that individual needs to sign off with the understanding that if the littorals are completely removed, and I think that's a bad idea, that any repercussions of those plants needing to be replanted or lake bank erosion.
I would-
Well, but that's also,
No, I
but
would-
here's
I
the
would
thing,
totally
here's the
disagree
thing with
with
that.
that. No.
That's almost saying that any property
owner.
owner that does not have littorals on their property, if there is damage, then they have
Has
to be
to pay for
responsible.
them. Yeah. can't
Because
do
you
that.
can't,
It's,
You
yeah,
can't do that.
it's not the same.
it is
It
the
is
same
the
thing.
same
If
thing.
you're saying there's littorals that are outside of the DO, if there's a DO and the DO is behind that property, we can't remove it anyway because it's part of the DO. But if you're saying if the littorals have expanded and it's, gone outside of the DO and the property owner says, look at it, this has gone excessive, can you cut it back? And we cut it back and then there's some erosion down the road and making the homeowner pay for that, whereas their neighbor who doesn't have any littorals has the same erosion, we're not charging them for us to install littorals in front or I understand where you're coming from and I absolutely understand the logic, but it's not apples to apples in this particular case, because you can't say I'm going to charge you if I remove littorals if there's or if there's damage as a result of removing the littorals, but your neighbor who never had littorals who has damage, I'm not going to make them pay for bank restoration. You know what I mean? It's not the same.
when I'm, like with his property, there's littorals on both sides of it. They're all the way around the lake.
But that's not where they're DO'd though.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
Right now, they're protecting the lake bank. So
The
if you've
DO
got all these people that have littorals and they remain there and their lake bank doesn't sustain any damage, and all of them this way, their lake bank doesn't really sustain any damage because they've got.
But what about the people on the
littorals.
other side who don't have any, that do get damage?
Yeah.
Are we gonna charge them to restore their lake?
No, I'm gonna charge the guy that wanted his littorals removed and now he's got a 3-foot drop off and it, on either
No, it's
side
not-
of him,
That
there's
wasn't the
no.
question. The question was the ones on the other side.
What if there's a
that
3-foot
have
drop
littorals.
down there that never had littorals, and we've gotta go in and fix that? Do we charge the homeowner for those repairs?
No way.
That's the, see, I mean.
That's where it's dealt with. I agree with you.
We gotta figure out somewhere to meet in the middle, because there is a risk to removing them.
Yeah, there is a risk.
Well, I can
to
tell
it.
you.
But there's also a risk for the neighbor who doesn't have any, or a lake who doesn't have any. So,
Yeah, I don't have any problem with changing this. I don't want the property owner to be responsible for the DO. I have no problem with the property owner coming in and making a request where the DO is silent and he has littorals in his backyard, notwithstanding the fact that they're not even being maintained. But it comes to the staff makes recommendation, reports to the board, and the board makes a decision. That's why we get paid the big bucks.
and I think maybe there's a stipulation where littorals exist, where they have maybe grown outside of the existing DO. Maybe we put some restrictions on how much we can cut that back. You know, maybe they can't remove them at 100%, but we would, you know, cut them back to, you know, like if the DO says, you know, 4 feet, maybe it's 4 to 6 feet or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's between the control elevation and 1 foot depth, that's 4 feet.
And I don't know which one you're looking at, the one that's on the screen, which has property owner. I like the original one, which was the HOA or the property association.
And I'm
But
in
if the
favor.
property owner association won't come forward for a property owner, what does the property owner do?
I think we just leave it very vague. I think the
To be
submitter or the
either-
requester, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't make
It's-
any difference.
It's
I agree.
inherent of whether it's either the HOA, the property owner, or, what was it, HOA property owner, or what was the other one?
Well, it's the HOA or the property association.
Or the property
which
association, or the
I
individual.
think I just.
I think it
make
doesn't matter.
I just make it the HOA or a requester, period.
I think just
Be done with
the
it.
requester.
Yeah.
Requester can be
Whomever.
whoever,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Is that community only or in some other community?
Well, I think first,
See, that's
The-
that's the whole issue.
first criteria is what is your, what's the word I'm looking for?
What's your
I
standard?
can't go in and say, hey,
Yeah, I
I don't like
couldn't do it on
littorals
your
over at
yard.
Ed's house.
Yeah, yeah.
There has
Yeah.
to be, you know,
It's gotta be for the person
the
that's.
decision tree is
I
what
think
is
it should be
your,
clear, the requester or the property, you know.
who
the
has some,
borders the lake or is on the lake or contained
Yeah,
within the
yeah.
community.
you know, some vested interest in. You know,
That's the key
Yeah.
thing. They have a vested interest. I could go along with that.
And if they're there, I can see thinning them, like, 4 feet, but to remove them completely, I don't think we should be doing that, because this is a natural water system that's going to, the plants are gonna do what they wanna do. Now, not letting them grow 20 feet into the lake, I understand that. But I think to just say we'll remove them completely in certain areas, you're asking, that's a nightmare for staff. And I think that we need to accept the idea that these lakes stormwater ponds belong to the district. And yes, we will consider thinning littorals in areas, but not completely removing them. I disagree with that.
Yeah, they're living creatures and they change.
Mhm.
And I'm totally opposed the other way. I don't wanna get in a lawsuit. We've already been told that that's what's gonna happen.
And if you like, I'd be happy to go out there and use the Justin's Lake for a litmus test and show you where the DOs are, where they'd like to remove and thin, and come back and show you.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's fine.
This is a,
Yeah.
Go along with that.
it's tough to create a policy here because you're not gonna satisfy everyone.
and Justin, then talking to the folks there, they don't wanna remove them total. In some cases, if you have them where they cover 2 yards, I think if you say, oh, we need 100 feet, he gets 50 feet, he gets, and I still get 50 feet clear. Yeah, there's ways to work around it. Or again, you put trees in or, move them to other areas where they don't offend people.
And I think
Avery,
that,
you wanted to make a comment?
can I make a couple comments based upon what I've
Quickly.
heard?
quickly,
Yes,
please.
number one, maybe legal counsel can help us. Is it the DO that governs things, or is it the CC?
CC being what, certificate of completion?
Right.
We have a development order, we have to abide by the terms of the development order. The certificate of completion is supposed to be an indication that the development was completed in accordance with the development order. That's the minimum. Now, the district, as the owner and operator of the lake, can decide to exceed what's required in the development
No,
order.
just stick with that, the
Excuse me?
county, stick with the county thought. Now, what I said was, they told me, no, this is what I'm telling, this is why I'm asking you a question. They told me that the CC was issued with an upgrade. And the upgrade included the distribution of those littorals around the lake. Now, don't shake your head, Ed, this is the
We never got
verbal
anything
from the
like that.
supervisor of the county
I've
code.
never
We
heard of
never,
it.
we,
I've never heard of
we never got it.
No, I've never heard of a
We never got it
term
nor saw it.
CC'd with an upgrade, and maybe the upgrade may have been the voluntary addition of littorals.
Well, that's not what we
No.
accepted on turnover.
Now, time
That's the
out,
issue.
time out. And what the supervisor said was, that's the verdict, that's it.
You
Any
had that in
changes to that distribution, which is included in the CC, I didn't make it this up. Any distribution has to require a new DO. Any change has to require a new DO. That's what he said, so,
Do you have it, in writing?
no, of course not.
So I guess, and
Now, let me, can I speak to a couple other issues? The 25% is supposed to expand, you said that, and it can't be cut back because it's supposed to expand. This is what the experts said, okay? The 8 to 10 feet would maintain and take care of a lot of what Justin's photographs would say. I agree with you that you're not, when you have every other homeowner, every fifth homeowner cut back, it's gonna be a mess. Okay, you can't allow that. The HOA, today, the president has told me that he would not be in favor of this. That's just a verbal.
Is he involved?
He is. He knows everything I've told the group, everything. You wanna see what I told him?
Stopped the back and forth in the
Yeah.
hundreds, please.
yeah, let
Yeah.
let the board go ahead
Yes.
and finish our discussion.
Just one more thought about what was said here. Let me get here trim. We haven't done the trim back yet, you know about that. We are planning to open up fishing areas, common areas where we'll request removal of littorals for those fishing areas. So that is planned.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. And the other thing that I'd like to see is this not be, and I had said it at the last meeting, that this not be an addendum, that we actually rewrite the
actual standard.
standards so that this is incorporated into them instead of being an addendum. I think that makes more
And I
sense.
think we just need to go back and get some recommendations too on, you know, I think there is cases, and South Florida Water Management stated that there are cases when it's, when it's excessive, when it's exceeding, I can't remember the percentage, but that you could restrict flow to the bank that could cause some adverse effects. The biggest thing we need is just something, an exception for when we need to cut back and what that cutback, you know, do we want to have a policy that we will not exceed cutting back any littoral growth past X amount % feet or whatever, you know. I don't know what the answer is because there's always another what if.
One correction, South Florida Water Management District has an standing rules. It's not.
I'm sorry,
South
Lee
Florida-
County, I'm sorry, Lee County, I'm sorry, it was Lee County that, yeah, so,
South Florida Water Management District took care of us,
yeah, okay. I
Except
meant
for
Lee County.
water quality.
except for water.
So, I think, come up with something, Chris, and we'll
I'll
continue to
come back
debate.
with a couple options.
Yeah, I'd
on
like
what
to
the
find,
impacts
from
would be.
Avery, who were you talking to that brought up this deal, corrective CC?
Just talked to 3 people that mentioned that. I have
Who
their
was the
names.
supervisor of the
Hold on,
commissioner?
I have their names right here. Ed, 1 second, let me find them.
If you will, after the meeting, get
Oh, I
that
can-
to
yeah,
Ed
certainly,
and Chris.
certainly.
I'll start with supervisor comments.
Nothing.
Nope.
I have none.
None.
Kathy?
I do have one.
Okay, go ahead.
And I talked to Chris about this already. Are those Arborwood homes?
Oh, Hammock Cove.
Hammock Cove. Okay, if you go down West Links, okay, and Hammock Cove is building a building, okay, they had to take the fence down so they could build this building. I'm wondering if it's really within the code, if they're really within the property line. Also, they have pads for their air conditioning that seem to be in the bank easement.
Which
So-
fence you talking about, Kevin?
Going
Very
down
familiar.
west.
One on Commerce Lakes where they're
Commerce
building the
Lakes?
last unit.
You mean the black wrought iron fence?
Right.
That fence was built on the property line, and it's owned by David Green's Community Association, not
So-
Hamco.
Okay, so you should look into because they've knocked it all down.
Did they take it down temporarily just to build units?
I have no clue, but it's there. And as I said, they have,
Scaffold.
yeah.
Well,
air-
the issue is there's a setback from that property line back to the building. And if they violated that setback, it's a county property.
Well, no, and what I had asked Chris about is that, does anybody from Gateway, because we did the approval years ago, go back and check it? And he said no. So I asked.
It all is county.
So I guess the concern that it expressed is whether or not these AC units are located within a Gateway Services CDD drainage easement.
Mhm.
I don't know how much checking Lee County does. I can tell you, I've run into so many problems in Cuyahoga County,
Mhm.
where they just started about a year and a half ago of checking that. People are putting generators in, AC units, pool equipment, and drainage easements. And now the county is now Cuyahoga County is now requiring surveys that show all easements. County did not before require. So I don't know what Lee County requires.
I was on the, well, as president of the board when we approved that. And if they have violated that, then they need to know it. But I haven't heard anybody that's on the board now saying a thing about it. So the only way they could have done it is to got somehow a release from the county on the setback, because that was on the property line and to the edge of that building. I thought it was 12 feet.
There's no problem.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
I'll
that
check
was
it out.
it. I was
Okay.
concerned.
We are officially adjourned.
Maybe.
I think the county-
5:50.
No, well,
5:57.
what happened recently, somebody was building an emergency generator, and they built it in.
Almost on
She
the-
built, and then we got looking at it.
Sorry about that.
See that?
You don't love that.
Guess have a good
Here, Doug.
See you next Thursday.
There was a-
Yeah.
Here's a lot, right?